Hey there flippers, and welcome back to Second Life Treasures. So on today's video we're going to be going through and doing another weekly update where we look at all of the sales, or the top 10 sales from last week, as well as all of your comments on last week's videos. So last week, it's not been too bad. So we had a total of 30 sales last week. Total revenue was £750 and 28p, for a total profit of £386 and 18p. So yeah, really not bad last week. Not quite where I want to be. I'm still going to be trying to sort of push it a bit further. But our average ROI last week was 662%. So yeah, as I say, wasn't a bad week, but still not where I want to be. So yeah, still going to be pushing forward. I'm very much closing in on sort of where I want to be. So yeah, fingers crossed, within the next couple of weeks we'll be able to start hitting those marks. So let's dive in to the first set of sales for this week, and let me just switch over. So our first sale is going to be another Sega Mega Drive. So we actually had one of these in last week's video, but yeah, this is another one that I had. So yeah, I think this one pretty much sold within, I want to say about 24-48 hours I think it sold. And yeah, this was actually a received offer. So yeah, this sold on the 18th of September. It sold for £44 and 50p. Total cost for the total cost to us for this is going to be £11 and 90p. So all in, we made a total profit of £18 and 16p, for a total ROI of 153%. So yeah, really happy with that. Obviously, we're starting in at number 10 at nearly £20 profit. So yeah, really happy with that, and yeah, definitely making a step forward. So our number 9 sale is going to be a item that I've picked up at the boot fair. You won't have seen, I don't think you've seen this one yet. I think this might be, it's either this week or next week's boot fair video. And this is the Disney Winnie the Pooh sensory warmer. So I think what this does is you get like little gel pot, like little wax pots, put them in the top, and basically it melts the wax and lets off sort of sensory aromas and things like that. This was brand new in the box, never been used. So I think we paid £20 for this, and it sold for £56 and 99p. This sold on the 16th of the 9th. I think this was one of the first sales that we had last week, and yeah, we made a total profit on that of £20 and 3p for 100% ROI. Yeah, as I say, it wasn't as good as it could have been, just because we had to pay up to get this. So it cost us £20 to buy it, but as I say, we doubled up our money. So yeah, not bad there at all. So moving on, we've got our first set of questions for today, and these are videos that come, these are questions that come off of last Monday's video. So the first one that we've got is from Chris Mason. I think Chris actually was on last week's video as well. And his comment was, make sure you get a photo proof of the Mega Drive sale, don't get scammed. Yeah, so with that one, we actually sold a Mega Drive bundle as well. That was in last week's video as well. But it hadn't been dispatched when I recorded the video. I was actually meeting the seller. Meeting the buyer the following day, and he was actually picking it up. So what I actually normally do is, if I get a message to ask if someone can pick up an item, what I tend to do is I tend to meet them, and yeah, then sort of do the exchange in like a car park. But what I do is, obviously I've got a dash cam in the car, so what I do is I just make sure that that's recording. And then it records the exchange. So if there's ever any problems, I've got video footage of the exchange taking place. So yeah, I always make sure with stuff like that, that I'm always fully covered. And yeah, I don't have people come to the house. My attitude with it is the family have got enough with all of my stock being everywhere, without people coming to the house whenever to pick things up. So yeah, normally if someone wants to pick up an item, I normally go and meet them. And then we've actually got 2 comments to cover on last week's video. And the second one come from Peb Active, something like that. I don't know. And this was the comment around the main subject of last week's video, which was looking up prices when you're in front of sellers at the boot fair. When it comes to checking prices in front of a seller, my theory is if they're selling it for £5, it doesn't matter what I'm going to do with it or whether I'm going to resell it, they're getting their £5, which, yeah, I can totally agree with. From my perspective, I'm purely looking at it as what profit am I going to make off this item, and it's not necessarily what they're charging for it, it's whether it's actually going to be worthwhile me picking it up. So as I sort of explained on last week's video, if someone's selling something for £20, it sells for 25, there's no profit in it. Equally, if they're selling something for 50p and I'm only going to make sort of £1 profit. So say for example, what we got, just purely because I've got it to hand, this Pokemon game. So say for example, the seller was selling it for 50p, and I know it's not the case, but in this example, we'll say that it only sells for £3 on eBay. So once I put in my shipping of £2.70, because I send everything tracked, and we're into it for 50p already, we're already going to make a loss. So that is before our packaging, before our eBay fees. So in essence, I'd probably make about a £2 loss on picking this up. So even though it's 50p, doesn't necessarily mean it's still a good pickup. So yeah, if I'm ever unsure about an item, I will always look it up, regardless of whether it's 50p, £5 or £500. I just want to make sure that what I'm picking up is actually going to return a profit. So that is going to move us on to sale number 8, I think it is. And that is a vintage 1984 grey pound puppy. This is the large 19-inch pound puppy with the baby and a bowl. So this actually come from a boot fair that I went to. I want to say, well, it was the first year that I was doing the channel, so at least 2.5 years ago. And yeah, I actually picked up 2 big boxes full of pound puppies. And initially they went up in the loft. They were up in the loft for about 1.5 years. And then towards the tail end of last year, I actually pulled them down, got the wife to basically clean them all, and then just listed them. And then they've been slowly trickling out. I think I've got, out of a box of probably about 40, I've probably got about 2 or 3 left. So yeah, they've really sold well. And yeah, if I ever see them in the future, I'll definitely be picking them up. So yeah, this one sold on the 20th of September. Our costs on this are 94p. It sold for £34.99 for a total profit of £22.36. And that landed us a total ROI of 2,379%. So yeah, as I say, absolutely love seeing these go. We've got, as I say, we've got a couple left, and yeah, hopefully they'll sell over the next couple of months. Then our number 7 sale is going to be another tennis racket. So recently I was able to get boxes to ship out all of the tennis and badminton rackets that I have. So yeah, whenever I see them now, I'll always have a look at them, and I'll pick them up now. But all of the ones that I had up in my loft that actually come from a charity shop pickup, they've all started to sell. I think so far in the last, I think they've probably been listed for about 3-4 weeks, and we've already sold about 5. So yeah, they're really sort of trickling out really nicely. This one actually went overseas, so went through the global shipping program. So total, this sold on the 19th of September. Our total costs on this are 56p. It sold for £34.74. I think this was actually a received offer. And that landed us a total profit of £22.70 for a total ROI of 4,054%. So yeah, really happy with how the tennis rackets and the pound puppies are going. So two items there that have sold that I've had kicking around for quite a while, and yeah, as you can see, they are starting to shift. So next up, the next topic that we're going to talk about, and I'm probably going to make this the subject of the video, and this comes from 7574 Sandra. And she just asked, do you promote? And yes, I do. I promote everything on the store, but I have recently changed how I do my promotions. So it was probably about this time last year, so like September or October, I can't remember, last year, where I first started doing promoted. And when I first started, I was very strict on how I did it. So anything that would generate me up to £5 profit, I would do 2% promotion on, and then everything above that would get 5%. And I kept that going for a while. I saw a big jump in my sales the first month that I did it. I think I went from averaging about sort of 55 to 60 sales a month. I mean, that first month I went up to about 100 sales. Then it sort of trickled back down, and I sort of hovered around 90 for quite a while. And then recently I have completely revamped how I do my promotions. So now I basically, rightly or wrongly, I'm now basing it off eBay's recommended, but not eBay's full recommended. So I'm actually doing 50% of what eBay recommends. And what you would have noticed, if you are promoting on your items and you're seeing a bar across the bottom of the promoted section, I'll get a picture on my next listing that I do, and I'll just show you. And at the bottom of the promoted sections, it said, you need to increase your promotion. You will not get as many views, basically. And so I've had that for absolutely months. And then probably about 6 weeks, 2 months ago, something like that, I started revising. So as I was refreshing my listings, I would go in and revise my promotion as well. So now, as I say, I go 50%. So, for example, if eBay is suggesting 10%, I'll go 5%. If they're suggesting 12.6%, then I will go at 6.3%. And literally, I'll just do half. And what actually happens is when you do half, that message actually that message disappears. So yeah, as long as you're promoting at least half of what eBay is suggesting, that message will disappear. And I will say, since doing that, I have seen a massive uptake in the number of sales that I'm getting every month now as well. I think for the last 2 months, I've been over 100 sales both months, and I'm well on course. I think so far this month I've done 88 sales, and we've still got about a week and a half to go. So yeah, I am seeing a difference in that. Don't get me wrong, I know it's a very contentious issue with regards to promotion. I completely agree. But unfortunately, eBay has become a bit of a sort of pay-to-play game. The only way you're going to play at the game is to pay them. So yeah, it is unfortunate, but unfortunately, it's their platform. They can pretty much do what they want. So until we get a competitor that's going to keep up with eBay, there's not really a lot we can do, and we've just basically got to go along with it, unfortunately. So yeah, that is a bit of a shame. But yeah, as I say, I do promote. I promote everything that goes on. And yeah, now I'm promoting at sort of 50% of eBay. I think my average promotion, doing it that way, is between 5.5% and 6%. Is probably where I am with regards to promotion now across the board. But yeah, as I say, it's a very sort of contentious issue with regards to promotions. But as I say, I am seeing the benefit of it, so I am going to keep doing it. Okay, so let's jump back to our sales, and we'll move on to our number 6 sale. And I've got the impression you've already seen these sell. And this is the Nike Dunk Low Georgetown trainers. So I did actually sell these the other week. but I can't remember if they got returned before I think actually you probably haven't seen them. I think they got returned before I done last week's video. And yeah, basically the buyer returned them, basically saying they didn't fit. So I relisted them. Obviously, only lost out on the postage to send. Got them back, relisted them, and yeah, they sold within about 2 days of relisting them. So they sold on the 16th of September. Our total costs, obviously, with the with the initial postage sending, obviously there was no return postage, was £8.81. They sold for £45.99 for a total profit of £23.12 for a total ROI of 262%. And then moving on to our number 5 sale is going to be another console, and this one is a Sony DualShock PlayStation 1 console. So this wasn't one that I've actually necessarily picked up recently. It was one that I had kicking around. I had no intentions on using it, so I thought, you know what, I'll get it listed and get a bit of money back on it. I've got no... yes, I have actually, because this was on the spreadsheet. So the initial cost for this was £4. I can't remember where this one come from. As I say, it was one that I've had kicking around the house for probably well over a year now. But yeah, finally got it listed. It sold on the 20th of September. As I say, our costs on this are £4. It's sold for £38.99. Landed us a total profit of £25.08 for a total ROI of 627%. So yeah, as I say, I've had a couple of these consoles kicking around, so I'm starting to just go through and yeah, just sort through all the consoles that are in excess of my collection. But moving on, let's move on to another question. And this one comes from Thomas G, 1513. Too many scammers on eBay, usually trying on for partial refunds or other scams. And yeah, I will admit, I am normally quite... I'm trying to think of the right word here. I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm strict, but I've got set sort of process that I deal with. So I don't do partial refunds. I think the only time I've probably done partial refund twice since I started the store, and I've only ever done a refund without return once. And that was because I just didn't check the item properly, and there was bits missing when I'd actually sold it as complete. And I knew it was my mistake because I went back and looked at my photos, and I could see in the photos that it wasn't complete. So yeah, there's that. And then I think the last partial refund I can remember. I've had two. The two was, I think one was a DVD player or a Blu-ray player that I'd sold, and the buyer was expecting to have a power lead with it when there wasn't any power lead in the listing. Not in the photo or in the listing, but I just thought, you know what, I'll give you the £2 to go and buy another cable. And then the other one was I sold a projector, and in with the photos I had the empty reel, but the empty reel wasn't actually part of the listing. So I think I ended up refunding about £7 or £8 for the buyer to then go and buy their own reel. But other than that, I don't do partial refunds. I will always say to them to open a return, and then once we receive it back, you'll get a full refund. And then also, what I'll also do is that if a buyer opens a return but selects the wrong message, I'll always reach out to them. So, say for example, bought a pair of trainers. And then they open up a item not as described, and then in the description they put wrong size or didn't fit, something like that, something that's clearly not wrong. So I will normally reach out to them and I'll say that they need to open up, they need to raise this with eBay to get them to change the reason, because otherwise then I'm forced to pay for a return label, whereas I don't do free returns at the moment. There's a couple of reasons why I don't do free returns, and I'll go through them in a minute. But yeah, I don't offer free returns. So if it is a not fault return, then I will always basically say that the buyer needs to pay return postage. So yeah, I'll always say to them that they need to raise it with eBay. Obviously, if they do go through with the return, then I will report it to eBay as a wrong return reason selected. The reason that I do that is not to sort of punish the buyer or anything like that, is that because if I report the buyer for selecting the wrong return reason, eBay will then refund me back the return postage. So it's all about just keeping my costs in check. Obviously, if it's a genuine return, that there's something wrong with it or something like that, I've got no problems taking the return. Equally, if it doesn't fit and they want to return it, more than happy for them to return it. But obviously, at that point, I would expect them to pay for the postage. So yeah, I would suggest that obviously if you do have a buyer that's basically raising a return and they're trying to sort of circumvent having to pay return postage, they then just reach out to them, just sort of explain the situation, that obviously the reason that you've selected isn't the correct reason, and that they'll need to reach out to eBay to get the return reason changed. Otherwise, when you receive the item back, you'll have to report them to eBay. And I know it sounds harsh, it really does, but obviously it is purely just to try and sort of keep the costs in perspective. But going back to sort of the actual return, like saying about the free returns. So as I say, I don't offer free returns. And the reason for that is that I've had a couple of instances where people have opened returns and they've opened the returns correctly. So say, for example, we'll go to the trainers, they open the return saying that they don't fit. So in that instance, they would then have to pay return postage. And obviously, sometimes I've had it where they don't want to pay with the return postage, so they then just don't bother returning the item. And basically what happens is, I think it's like 3 weeks now, eBay will then just automatically close the return. They don't do anything with your funds or anything like that. I mean, where it's a bit, I suppose it is a bit different if you're a new seller, because if you're a new seller, eBay will basically put a hold on those funds. Whereas once you become an established seller, and you're sort of trusted on the eBay platform, eBay don't hold funds anymore. The only time eBay will hold funds on my account will be if I've got a case open. So say, for example, if a buyer was to return an item and I didn't refund them in the 2 days that I've got to do it, they would then be able to open a case with eBay, and at that point the funds will be put on hold. Obviously, I make sure that I never get to that point, because obviously it also dings your account, and it can mean you lose your selling status. So yeah, sometimes people will open up a return. I think this is probably going back to the original question, actually, about the partial refunds and the scams. I mean, what they're hoping is that you'll just reach out to them and say, don't worry about returning it, keep the item and I'll do your refund. Whereas I don't do that, obviously, because I know it's one of the tactics that people use to get things either cheap or free on eBay. I'll always say, always return the item back, even if it means that I'm going to have to sort of front the cost to get that item back. I'll always do it, because the amount of times I've had it where I will get an item back, there'll be nothing wrong with it at all. I relist it, and then within a couple of days it sells again, and I make the money back and some. So yeah, a lot of times, don't be scared to deal with return postage. So just play it by ear. Obviously, if it's going to be an item that you've made like £2 on, and it's going to cost you another £3 to get it back, then that is your choice. Then at that point, do you bring it back and try and resell it to make some money back, or do you just cut your losses, give them a refund and let them go on their way. It's completely up to you. For me, 99% of the time, I will say, yeah, send it back to me. I'll do you a full refund once we receive it back. And yeah, it is what it is. That's just my approach, and that's how I sort of get by people trying to sort of with return scams or partial refund scams. Because especially with the partial refunds, my attitude is well, you had the time to negotiate before buying the item. I'm not going to negotiate now you've received the item. If you don't like it, send it back, and then I'll sell it on to someone else that does like it. But yes, so moving on, we have got our next load of sales, and let me just get that up. So our next sale is a pair of Adidas Adi Power hockey trainers. I don't actually think these are hockey trainers. I think that might just be a name, but yeah, we picked these up from the normal Sunday boot fair. I think these have been out. I think you've seen the video for these. And yeah, I saw them sitting on the stall, and I picked them up, looked at them, and they were immaculate. They looked like they'd never, ever been worn. So I asked the seller what they wanted, expecting sort of £5 to £10. And yeah, they basically said, yeah, £3. So we are into these trainers for £3. They sold for 38. No, it's not. They sold for 39.99. Made us a total profit of £26.94 for a total ROI of 898%. These sold on the 19th of September. And yeah, I think they've been listed. They've probably been listed about 6 weeks. But yeah, really happy to see them go. And as I say, they were in such good condition. At certain points, I was actually tempted to keep them myself, but I think they've got like a fabric top, and I've currently got fabric top trainers, and I'm trying to get a decent pair of leather ones. Right, so moving on to our number 3 sale is going to be another console, and this is a Sony PlayStation Classic. This is the mini console with all the cables and the controller. Now, this one you won't have seen yet. This is going to be in a future video series that I'm doing. So I think I've mentioned it in last week's video. But I've actually started going to my local auction. And yeah, I think this was the first week that I went. I actually picked up a sort of a PlayStation bundle. So yeah, I picked up a PlayStation console that I wanted for myself for my collection. But in with that also had this. So yeah, I've got 2 of these in my collection already. Didn't need a third one. So yeah, just listed it, and yeah, it sold, I think probably in about a week, I think it sold. So yeah, really happy with that. So we are into this one for, I worked out about £10 for this. So yeah, I've taken out £10 from the price of the lot that I bought, and attributed to this. It sold for $44.99. Actually sold on the 18th of September, and made us a total profit of £27.04 for a total ROI of 270%. So yes, as I say, I have been going out to auctions, and I have been doing some filming. So I've been able to, I think the first week I didn't do any filming, purely because, well, I filmed an intro, and then I'm due to film the pickups part. I've got everything sitting around, so I'm going to do a pickups part, so just show you. And then I would admit, the second and third week, so I've only done 3 visits so far, but second and third week, I was able to do some recording. So yeah, that'll be a future video series. I think what I'm going to probably do, I'm probably going to just get through the remaining boot fairs that I've got. I think I've got about 4 or 5 boot fair videos, sort of in the bank, waiting to come out over the next few weeks. And then once we've done them, we'll then move on to the auctions, and I'll be covering the auctions a lot more throughout the winter. But yeah, I will admit I'm really enjoying doing the auctions. This last one that I went to, there was about about four or five different lots that I was looking at. They will all be really good profit if I was to get them for a good price. And I think the first one that I got, there was a bit of a bidding war, but I ended up getting it for. I'll still make a fair amount of profit on it. Then the next two that I was looking at, no one bid on it at all. It was just me. So yeah, I was really happy to get them. And then I think there was one lot I was looking at that I missed out on. It just went too high and I wasn't prepared to go that high. But yeah, I've picked up some really good bits. So I'm looking forward for you to see those videos. As I say, they'll probably be in about 6 weeks or so once the boot fairs wrap up. But moving on, we've got a couple more questions to go through in this video. And these are questions that come, or these are comments, sorry, that come on Saturday's video. So the first one here is John Green, and his comment basically says, good stuff there. So yeah, thanks for that, John. That was, as I say, that was a comment on Saturday's boot fair video, where we, oh, that was it. Yeah, we had a literally whole load of the bits that I picked up, all sold really, really quickly. I think we had about 5 sales out of everything that we picked up at that boot fair. So yeah, it was a really, really good boot fair. And yeah, hopefully we'll get a couple more like that. And then the last comment of the day comes from channel friend Nicky. And he says, great video, mate. Who's winning the GHD? Lol. So as I said in that video, me and Nikki have got a bit of a competition going on between us whenever it comes to sort of picking up GHDs. Yeah, in that video, basically I managed to pick up a pair of GHDs and I saw them before Nikki did. And yeah, he was a bit salty about me picking them up, but yeah, it's a bit of a competition going on. Whenever we are out of the boot fairs, it's always who can pick up the GHDs first. So yeah, I think Nicky, we're probably a bit neck and neck at the moment. If not, I'm edging it a bit. I know I say that he picked up a new pair the other week, so I'll probably give him more cred on the new pair than the used pairs that I've got. So yeah, I'd probably say we're probably about level, if not Nicky's just a touch ahead. But moving on, let's quickly run through the last couple of sales for this week. And our number 2 sale is going to be the Panasonic DMR EX77. This is the DVD recorder with HDR. This had the remote and everything with it. And yeah, I'm pretty sure we picked this up from a boot fair. I'll be honest, I can't remember 100% where this one come from. But it sold on the 21st of April, 21st of September. So what was that? That was Saturday. And as I say, we spent £5 on it. It sold for £51.99p for a total profit of £33.89p for a total ROI of 678%. And then our number 1 sale was actually a charity shop pickup. And this was the Sony S2 Sports Walkman. So this is a more rugged, portable CD player. So it's got like waterproof seals on, everything like that. And I actually picked it up just purely because it was a Sony portable CD player. And then when I got home, looked it up and found out that they actually sell for about £400. So yeah, I was absolutely over the moon until I come to test it because yeah, it just wouldn't power on. I couldn't get it to power on at all. So yeah, I ended up I thought, do you know what? Because of how much this goes for, I'm going to chuck it up as spares and see how we get on. So I initially had it listed for £70 plus £5 shipping. And yeah, it's been listed for probably 2 months, 2.5 months, something like that. And yeah, I got an offer for it the other day. The buyer sent through an offer of £60 and a penny. So yeah, it ended up selling for a total price of, no, sorry, they didn't. They sent through an offer of 65. I'm reading the wrong bit of the screen. So yeah, it sold for, sent for an offer for 65, and then with the £4.99 shipping, it sold for £69 and 99p. Our initial our costs in this are £4. So yeah, really good pickup this, even in a faulty condition, which was really good. So our total profit on this was £49 and 56p for a total ROI of 1,239%. So yeah, really happy with that. That is an absolutely amazing pickup. Amazing pickup, sorry. And yeah, I'll definitely be keeping my eye out for them again. Even in sort of faulty condition, it shows that they go for really good money. So that is all of the sales for this week, as well as all of the comments. So I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone that left a comment on one of the videos last week. And yeah, if you've got a question for me, or just a general comment with regards to sort of eBay selling, leave a comment down below on sort of this video or any of my other videos that you watch. And then, yeah, I will pull it up on next Monday's update video. But with that said, that is going to wrap up today's video. But before you head off, if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're not already, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell to be kept up to date when I upload new videos. And yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching today. Really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye.